Jackson Radio Show.
Right after Netflix announced its appointment of Susan Rice to its board of directors, the stock dropped 5%. Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Now, you say, what's the big deal? It came back a little bit here and there. Stocks go up and down, volatility. I agree. But I'm just telling you, the stock dropped 5% on the announcement of Susan Rice. Were there other factors? Perhaps. I'll tell you this. Many of us, I'm talking about conservatives, immediately started considering, what do we want to do with Netflix? Is there anybody out there that competes against them that we need to be looking at? Now, here, get this. If you think it's strange that Susan Rice was offered a board at Netflix, here's something else you probably don't know. Chelsea Clinton is on the board of Expedia. Yeah. Here are the people, just for the record, so we know who's fighting against us. So every time you go on to Expedia, every time you use TripAdvisor and all these other sites, believe it or not, these sites are owned by leftists. Most of them are. Here are the people who decided to fight back against Laura Ingraham when she called David Hogg a whiny baby. Here it is. Nutrish, TripAdvisor, Wayfair, Hulu, Nestle, Expedia, Joseph A. Banks, and Johnson & Johnson. Those are companies so far who fought back. Go look at those companies, look at the makeup of their board, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. Dominated by leftists. Now, David Hogg thinks he's won because Laura Ingraham issued an apology. I'm going to get back to Netflix. But David Hogg thinks he's won. He's now a powerful voice. In fact, Alison Camerata actually asked, do we have that clip? Let's play that clip.
This is an American issue, and as such, we have to work together.
David, I am stunned that 4 colleges rejected you. What kind of dumbass colleges don't want you? I mean, you've taken the country by storm. How do you explain this? Did they reject you before the Parkland massacre, or how do you explain this?
They rejected me about 2 weeks ago, most of them. It was UCLA and UCSD. The way I explain it is we have a heavily impacted university system in America, and I think there's a lot of really good candidates that don't get into college, and I think it goes to show that regardless of whether or not you get into college, you can still change the world. The hardest part is just believing that you can and continuing that effort to change the world, because you eventually will.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. The gushy, gushy gooey, fawning over this kid, David Hogg, by Alison Camerata. And his excuse, well, academia doesn't like my type of people. Academia loves this clown. You know what they know? They know this is a Hitler Youth in the making. I sent this kid a message, and I sent it out on Twitter. I said, you are the type of kid who is dangerous to any society, because all he wants is fame. He wants fame, and he knows how to get it. He knows what that brings, the power, and he will be drunk on power. You can look at this kid and know it. I said it on the show. You can look at him. So here's the media fawning all over this. I got words for him. And he's I'm just telling you, dangerous person. Dangerous. So anyway, so Netflix is putting people on these boards. What is Netflix? It determines what you're going to see. I mean, think about it. Hollywood's suffering. I talked about Hollywood's numbers dropping like crazy. Terrible numbers in Hollywood for movies right now. Terrible numbers. If it weren't for Black Panther, Hollywood wouldn't even, they would be crying in their, bourgeois cocktails. So Netflix determines what you're going to see. But look at all these other companies. TripAdvisor, Wayfair, Hulu. Hulu's another one of these services. Expedia. Just look at where these people are controlling things. Capitalists. These are capitalists that are determining things in your life. And what they do is they spread their little poisons around. Hey, come to TripAdvisor and then we'll send you over to Expedia. Oh, by the way, have you checked out Hulu? Joseph A. Banks, Johnson & Johnson. I'm not following all this. I'm not trying to connect the dots and say there's some sort of cabal and it's a big conspiracy. All I'm telling you is these people protect one another. They they do things that are counterproductive to society, and they figure out a way to do it on our nickel and to keep it in our faces. I remember when I forget which one it is. It's one of these trip deals where you can we'll find all your hotels for you for, you don't have to look in multiple places. We'll find all your hotels. I can't remember the name of the service. I looked up the guy who owned that company because I was doing research on some stock stuff. And he is a dyed-in-the-wool leftist. Every time you use that service, you're putting money into his pocket. Whether it's Facebook, whether it's Google, all these guys. Now, look, I said earlier, I don't know if there's a cabal, but think about if a guy like that goes to Google and says, look, come on, Sergey, we're buddies. We all support the greater good. Let's make sure my stuff gets there first. Hey, Facebook, Mr. Zuckerberg, how about you give me preferential treatment? This is not just about the, quote, politics. This is about the politics of your life. You determining what you're going to support. Because at the end of the day, let me tell you what these guys care about. They care about their money. That's what they care about. They care about their money. They care about their power. And the way you have the most power is you amass the most people, and then you take your money and you keep those people supporting you. That's what this government has done to blacks. That's what it's trying to do to women. That's what it's trying to do to Latinos and everybody else that they consider a special interest. Somebody's amassing power and saying, now go get me the people. That's how this works. We must show that David Hogg cannot intimidate Laura Ingraham or anybody else. I said before, Laura Ingraham apologized to this kid, not because Laura Ingraham is an apologist. Laura Ingraham was made to apologize by Fox News. They sent her a note saying, you cannot say things about people and generate controversy that comes back to the brand. That's how that happened. And it weakens conservatism when those types of things happen. Weakens it badly. There's a lot of things happening right now in this country that have to be stopped. And leftists control these types of things. For example, all this hoopla over the census. Yeah, let me tell you what that's about. What that's about is the leftists hate being discovered. They hate when you learn about what their crimes are. The reason why Netflix stock fell 5% was when they appointed Susan Rice, everybody went, what the heck? And you knew what happened. Now, in this particular case, I don't know how they wouldn't think we discovered it. It's pretty easy to discover. But with respect to the census, they know if we count the legitimate people in California, they are going to take a hit. Their citizens have been paying for many, many more illegals than they ever envisioned. And what if it turns out that California, has 25 million illegals? Wouldn't surprise me. I don't think any of you would be surprised. What do you think the citizens are going to say? Think they're going to be happy about this? How many seats will they lose in the legislature if it turns out that they have 15, 20% illegals? This is what they don't want you to find, and they want to control this process because that's the only way they can win.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.